Hi, Para Women Radio. I see you here, my friend. Hope you're here. We're going to connect and give it a few minutes for everybody to pop on. If you're here, do me a favor, comment. Let me see you in the thread. That would be awesome. Guys, I'm loving. Let me try to balance that. Listen, I'm sitting here with this camera. I cannot wait. Not next week, but the week after. It's going to be a completely different setup. I'm so thrilled. I'm so excited about it. So guys, thank you so much for being here. Those questions were really great tonight. I love the way that in that community we connect to the information, but there's always such beautiful insight coming in too. And so guys, I just really want to say thank you for that support there on the Forbidden Knowledge Connection. Hi, Bobby. I see you there, my friend. Hi, Audio Ron. Para Women again, you too, my friend. And so it's one of those things where when we're connecting to the highest of information, don't you, it's so cool to feel like the information just flies, right? And when I say that, the time really flies too. And so have you ever noticed that when you're in line with spirit, when you're in line with something that feels like you're on your, on your game with your passion, if you're showing up for the things that mean something for you, don't you feel like the time flies? What's really cool is I think that we can all get in our own heads very often about where we should be devoting our attention, where we should be devoting our connection to our own energy. And what I find is very often when we just show up for the things that feel like they're giving back to us, for me, I'm just so grateful I get to say that it's my career, it's what I am doing. It we're in alignment with that direct line of connection, right? That light, that divine path. That for me, guys, it isn't always fun. We all have to do things that don't always feel like that's where we want to put our attention, but it doesn't have to always be that hard, right? And so us putting energy into the things that we're wanting to attract, or the things that we're wanting to invest in, those are the things, guys, that you will find when we're doing that. You'll find either more people that want to do that. You might also find that you're going to have more opportunities to put that into action. Bobby says absolutely, it flies, and sometimes I just don't want it to stop. Yes, exactly. I had a beautiful conversation with my friend Rose. You guys have heard me talk about her. I just taught at her retreat in Costa Rica, and she and I will be doing some other things probably in 2024. Maybe there's a little retreat. There's also some great other opportunities. I'm going to be in Michigan, it looks like in June, for about 3 or 4 things that are going to be happening there. That's June. July is Miami, and then August in Napa Valley, California. So if you guys are interested in retreats, if you're interested in coming and doing big groups or whatever, please, I hope you'll come. Make sure you're subscribing to my email list and to all the Facebook posts or social media. You will be able to see all of that information there. I cannot wait for diving that information out and putting that out as public. We're still trying to get, certain information together so that we can put that out fully. I will say though, in that conversation with Rose yesterday, we were talking about how beautiful that retreat was. And I said to her, I was like, well, what's so crazy and beautiful is that retreat, as successful as it was for her, and I mean that how beautiful the healing was for all of the women involved, even as facilitators that were able to be there and enjoy it as well and work and be in our light. I said, Rose, you got to just show up. That's the thing. And speak what was on your heart, speak your truth. And she said, you too? And I was like, yeah, me too. I mean, there's almost no preparation that I do anymore, guys, with any of my work. I literally am getting to show up, take a breath, and literally be in divine line with spirit. Rose a few days before and was like, do you need flyers? Do you want me to do any printing for you? And I was like, no, I don't need any of that stuff. To me, I don't want to say that it's nonsense, but it takes me out of that connected light of energy. And so I think that we try so hard, guys, to make it so difficult. We try so hard to feel like it has to be done a certain way because that's the way we saw it done before. And maybe, just maybe, the way that you want to show up in your space, your work, the work that you're putting out there for the world around you, maybe it's perfect just the way it is. Bobby says divine line, the conduit. Yes, a divine line of communication and connection, getting to show up in the energy of spirit and in source, God, light. What's funny is, the reason I even use so many different words to describe it is because I'm in my belief that it's all one. All of those, that energy is beautiful. And what one might call it, somebody might call it something different. And I believe that this is not a space to divide. It's not a space for semantics. I think that what you call that is beautiful, and that's what we're connecting to, is what you call that for you. C Max says, I think on an organic approach is a natural way to communicate. Me too, my friend. Me too. I used to prepare. I was speaking. I used to do, I don't know, what do you call them? Events and expos for years. Traveled and did that multiple times a year, probably 4 or 5 events a year, which was so much fun at the time. But I remember, in the galleries, that's rolling with it, connecting, and of course see what comes through. But there was always a little bit of awareness of what we were going to talk about. And I would kind of prepare a little bit, practice in a way or something. And about, let me think, probably about 6 years ago, I had an event with like 200 women and had a moment where something had happened before I got thrown off my rocker. I prepared. I was really excited to do this large event and felt like it was a big deal, and got thrown off kind of my emotional rocker before, took a breath, showed up. It was hard. It didn't feel ideal, but showed up, and it was the best thing I had ever done thus far, that point. And I then realized that, oh my gosh, I'm making it so hard that I can just show up and be me. Guys, take a breath. Feel that. Thank you for the awareness that is mine. Thank you for being a teacher on my path and asking nothing but the highest, truest, or the best to manifest upon us now. All we have to do is show up. And life shows up in accordance to the energy we know that we emanate. That's not ego. That's surrender to that sweet perfection, that knowing that you as a child, you in that infancy, you in that state that your mother, think about it. Think of you, if you've got children, you've got nieces, you've got a little one that oh my God, they're so perfect. Oh my gosh, in their sweet little smell, in their energy. That's what you are. You're perfect in your awareness, in your knowing, in your light. There's nothing that's needed. There's nothing that you need to acquire to now speak from the heart, or now speak from awareness, or now speak from a place of knowing. Every learned something along the way is giving you what you need for that moment. And so us coming into that surrendering of the energy that maybe up to this point we've all just made it too hard. And maybe when we surrender and there's not a need for anything, that's where the true abundance finds us. And what I'm going to tell you is that's when it all shows up too. When you no longer need it, because you are already one with it all, and continue to live in accordance with that memory and knowing that is just simply where you vibrate. And when you have moments that you're showing gratitude for any of that's taking you out of your light, and you're coming back to the remembering that you have the ability to come back to that space and ground and feel fully, however it is you feel, whatever it is you feel, and honor it, and surrendering, coming back to that light within. It's your superpower, guys. It is your superpower. Audio Ron, I always appreciate your support, guys. There's often so many of you that come back again and again, and even though I haven't met you in person, you're my friend, you're my buddy. And so Bobby, of course, you are my dear friend, my dear client. I love you so much. And there's so many of you on here, and so I so appreciate you guys, that connection. What's really cool to me is, so long ago, I want to say this and then I want to get to your comment, Audio Ron. So long ago, I used to feel like I had to keep, a little bit of a boundary, there, it was work, right? But what's interesting is that when we find our people, they start to feel like our family. So guys, you guys are family to me. We're connected in this experience. We're connected in this spiritual knowing, the spiritual awareness. And I truly believe that we get to walk each other home. We get to show up for each other in our light, in our awareness. And when I grow, you grow. When you grow, I grow. We get to marry each other, the energy back to each other. We get to learn from that space of awareness. And guys, I don't think there's anything more powerful. I do not think there's anything more powerful. Audio Ron says, I think we just try so hard to make things happen how we want it to happen. Yes, really figure out that everything takes time. That's why time flies when you're having fun, and time is very, very slow. Yes, it's so true. So yes, it's so interesting. Thank you guys for being here. It's so interesting to watch also our awareness. And so, hi Dejanique, my friend, my dear. What's cool is, what I thought, what I knew 18 years ago, I'm 46, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago. It's constantly advanced beyond the awareness. And so you will hear me quote my favorite quote all the time: the more we know nothing. We are all in a constant state of evolution of the self, our awareness, our physical bodies, all of it. And when we surrender to that, I think that we're perfectly perfect right where we are. We're learning the things that we're supposed to be learning in the moment, and also understanding, I'm getting chills as I say that, understanding that it's okay for our awareness of that divine connection, or even what our own gifts and abilities were, for that to also evolve. I'm coming and moving far, almost away from that word. That might sound crazy to some, but psychic, I said it on the podcast tonight. It's our human form, guys. It's not a special word. You have it. I pointed at everybody in that comments. You have it, you have it, you have it. Why do we have to make it a specific something separate from the one, from the light? Within that light, we have it all. Take a breath with me. Within that light, we have connection. Why do we have to pick it apart and name it? Right? We are connected. We have this ability to understand our full selves. And I believe that when we're trying to make and put semantics around it, maybe are we downplaying the connection? I believe we are. I believe that our connection is one with it all. And that is where we're kind of garnering connection again. That's where we're coming back to that. And so I don't believe that we even have to have those different specifics of words. I think we are the facilitator of the light. We are I put a quote in my VIP group this last week, and we are the containers, the vessels that are required to be broken here on this space and earth by our own hurts, traumas, pains, to seep the light out into the world, shred that vessel apart, and just emanate our light to those that are willing to view and see it. Sharing in the way that only you can, and the only way I can, in your truth, in your heart. And what that means is there is a constant state of growth. You see my face when I say that, growth, which doesn't always feel good. But there's a constant space of maybe even uncomfortableness, but equally the most beautiful connection that maybe you've also never known. That is your energy. Yes. Slim Jim says bonfire under the stars tonight. I love it. Yes. When you realize your true internal powers, it can get scary. It can. I believe that, well, yeah, it gets scary because who has to take accountability? Oh, oh. You do. I do. My dad used to say, Bill Sides was his name. Beautiful, beautiful man. He used to say, who's in charge? I'd come in and want to whine and cry about this or that. I always talked to him. He was so smart, such a brilliant guy, such a wise man, and would listen to me. And he would hear me, but he would tell me his opinion, but he'd never tell me what to do. He empowered me. He helped me find out what felt like truth meant to me. And when I'd come in and I'd be like, oh, this or that, or whining or complaining, he'd say, well, who's in charge? Yeah, I hear you. He'd hear me, he'd understand, but he'd say, well, who's in charge? And I'd be like, oh, usually I think it was probably met with an eye roll. I was always the master of the eye roll. I'd be like, ugh, me. I'm the only one that can change it. I'm the only one that can speak my truth. I'm the only one that can voice it in the way that I feel like I need to voice it. If I'm uncomfortable, I'm the only one that can choose something different. If I don't like the life I'm living, what needs to be done to change it? He always put it back on me, which was beautifully amazing and obnoxious all in the same breath. But he empowered me to know that I had everything it took to get me from point A to Z. Yes. Slim Jim says, let's see. And they can be taken if abused. That's right. Your gifts can be. People can abuse them. Yeah. And that's why I always say you want to go off of a referral. You want to know that somebody's constantly working on their stuff. You see my love. I mean, they're in their own process and they practice what they preach. It's not easy. Slim Jim says, was he a judge? No, but he could have been. He was great. He could have been. He was a self-employed person. He owned a fire extinguisher business. He was amazing. Such a good guy. I used to tell him we had a big house. I grew up in a big house, big, beautiful home. My mom's like dream home, although it was old. And so it needed siding when I was a kid. And so it was kind of looked like a haunted house sometimes for a while when I was in my, younger. And they finally were able to put siding on the house, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful, or was beautiful. And I remember I would have friends as we walked home from school, and they would say, are you rich? Which we were absolutely not rich. My parents just worked their tail off to afford that home or to put money into it. And then they, took care of it in the way that you would hope when you're buying a home that you've got to kind of invest in. And a couple of the kids would say, are you rich? But just because the house was big. And I remember coming home young in grade school and saying, Dad, are we rich? And he'd say, no, honey, but we're rich in love. And that is one of my favorite things he always says. I say it to my kids all the time. Nope, but we're rich with love. And that is always the most important part to me. So anyway, good man. He put the responsibility on you. Yes, he did. And Audio Ron says, very lucky you had someone to do that with. Others never have anyone to confide in. Yes, I did. We're going to talk about my dad tonight, apparently. Something my dad did, so I encourage all of you parents out there too, was that my father would, and what's beautiful, what's weird and kind of interesting is, in a family, we all have different relationships with our parents. And so my father, I would spend a lot of time asking him questions. I was always kind of a seeker of information. And so we would have very long conversations, and he would say, Courtney, always trust the hair on your arms. He always taught me to come back to my intuition. And he might not have always called it, what I would call it today, psychic information or empathic or whatever, but he'd say that knowing that intuition, it's telling you something for a reason. Your body is constantly giving you information. You've got to listen to it. So you always really tune me back to myself. That's empowerment, guys. Again, so even tonight, I had a father. And so I'm like, thank you, Dad, on the other side. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. I know you're with me. Feeling him in spirit, feeling him connected, knowing that he was a beautiful teacher on my path, that I got to really embrace that. And today, aren't I teaching what he taught me as a kid? I guess so, right? So we as parents can confirm some of those things in a beautiful way that I believe is really kind of vital as we're growing up. Yeah, I love it. Yes. Ain't that ego? Billy S., let me know what you're talking about, my friend. Let me see here. Maybe it's another comment up here. Very lucky. He put you responsible. Every day in every way, things are getting better and better. Positive thought. So good. You got the keys. Ain't that ego? Billy S., I want to know what part might be ego. I want to really have a discussion with you about it. I'm curious. You might have heard something in a different way that I'd love to chat about. Audio Ron says, yes, dealing with that at this time, having nobody to confide in or listen. A simple, everything is going to be fine can go a long way for most. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Empath. Coming back, the energy for me right now, guys, in my work, I'm constantly, I'm doing sessions all day long, and which I love and find such, worth in. Of course, it's my passion, it's my heart, but making sure that I tune in to the person who also needs to find her divine connection to refuel, to find care and support. So that bathtub, and that almost allowing myself to be the child on the chest of the creator in my source, and knowing that I'm so perfectly the light, understanding that there's no divide from me to anybody else, understanding that divine light is within us all. Coming back to that space might be a really good visual for you, my friend, to keep remembering that you're also okay. Yes. Yeah. Let's see here. I feel like one of the X-Men learning how to use this new awareness/gift. For years, my sister always told me I was emotionally intelligent. Now I'm finally realizing my empath energy gift. I love that. That's amazing, friend. Write those things down. Yes, Slim Jim says embrace it. Look at those connections. Losing gifts by abusing them. Yes, Billy, I'm so happy you were here. And yes, so to me, those are, that is the ego when we're abusing those gifts. For me, I have lots of people say, well, tell me what the numbers are going to be. Or, my ex-brother-in-law, who I love dearly, he's precious. They used to do like an annual birthday party at Remington Park here in Oklahoma City, which is like a horse thing, or I don't know. There's a casino there or something. And so we would go, they'd always have like a fun, beautiful dinner or whatever. And he would always say, come on, let's go to the thing. And I was like, it doesn't work like that for me. It's got to be energy of the highest, the truest, and the best. And your intention, like good energy in, good energy out, bad energy in, bad energy out. And so that's the same for if somebody's trying to even mess with you and give you faulty energy as they're sitting there with you. The bad energy in, bad intentions in, not good energy coming out. So whatever we're meeting that energy with is kind of what's going to come through it. So yeah, you're right. That is ego. You're right. I love that. Same here. I need to do more research on empath. Empath, you're right. I find myself being that person that listens to a lot of people and tries to offer as much help and direction as I possibly can. Guys, the thing that I do, you've heard me do it a million times. You're going to hear it a million more when you watch this. And then the Forbidden Knowledge Network too, is that breath. So as people, when they're talking, and even in client sessions, I'll always say, guys, breathe with me. When something feels heavy or I'm feeling the energy of another, because I've learned to connect to my own bubble of light, my own breath of connection, my own divine direction, I can feel the heaviness of a thought, of heaviness of an emotion, and heaviness of an empathic pressing upon my own energy. The heaviness of something that's coming through for a client session and in that energy, thank you, showing gratitude for it. Thank you for being a teacher on my path. If I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it for a reason, and sending that energy out of my divine connection, but my divine awareness. So we're supposed to feel those things to know that we can feel them. We're not supposed to feel those things and then keep them as if they're ours. Hi, Gregory, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are talking about getting in, well, it's the after show from the Forbidden Knowledge show tonight. It was the keys to divine direction, finding what divine direction is, finding what our divine direction is, and finding that connection. It's the light. It's that point of connection for our soul, knowing our soul awareness and how perfect it is, even in its imperfectness. Yes. I'm empathic, Billy says, to the point I don't like to go to town. Yes, I understand that. Start to bubble up in your energy. And for me, I learned it from somebody along the way. But in that, I believe it was John English. He was a shaman in Phoenix, Scottsdale area. And I'm not sure that he might still be doing the work. I'm not sure. But that beautiful bubble of protection, I've used it ever since then. And on the inside of that bubble are mirrors. And so in that beautiful light of you, in that beautiful intention of what you're wanting to connect to, which is your highest source of connection, that light in your perfection, that source, that energy, on the inside of that bubble are mirrors. So all of that beautiful light that you're intending upon your life, your beautiful life that you're intending, your healing, all of that becomes stronger and stronger in your gifts and abilities, in your emotional work, physical work, all of the above. And on the outside of that bubble are also mirrors. So anything that is not of your highest, your truest, or the best energy for you ricochets off of your bubble and goes back to where it came from. So when I'm not in session, guys, my bubble is up. I'm not feeling the weight of the world necessarily around me now. I'm watching lots of news. I'm watching tragedies on social media. If I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm overloaded, and I'm working too much, then I can start to feel everybody's everything. But when I'm in my space, which is most often when I'm making sure that I'm setting those emotional boundaries, those physical boundaries, the things that make me feel safe, the things that make me feel full, the ways that I can fully show up for not just my family, but myself first and foremost, and then to the people that I love and around me. If I'm connecting to the world around me, I'm not really, but my light is not as, I'm not so connected to my divine direction. I'm connecting and so worried about everybody else rather than just simply staying in my own direct line of communication and spirit. And even more, that's not selfish, by the way, that's self-care. And we're teaching the world around us to make sure that they also understand that them setting that beautiful boundary is rightful and is important. All right, guys. So speaking on that, I love you. I hope that you love the after show tonight. I hope that this after show is always going to be a little bit more casual than the podcast. Again, not this Wednesday, not next Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. We are going to have a completely new setup. I cannot wait. Wall color. We're going to have new cameras, new lighting, all the things. And so Dean is part of the beautiful Forbidden Knowledge team. Behind the scenes, you guys don't ever really see him. He might have been in a few pictures last week on all of our social media, but he's awesome. He's going to come fly in from Detroit and help set us up, and I cannot wait for us to be able to roll that out to you guys. I am so thrilled. Guys, again, if you are here, if you have appreciated this podcast, please do me a favor and make sure that you are connecting on all the social media pages, that you are following and you're sharing anything that feels like it's in divine connection with your spirit. It would mean the world to me. I'm trying to help also grow this beautiful YouTube page and get more subscribers. So please help spread the divine light and the word if it's something that feels like it's important to you. So thank you so much, guys. I'll talk to you soon.